thank you very much, Chairman Smith, Ranking Member Johnson, members of the committee. I'm pleased to be here to discuss the civilian science and technology components of the President's fiscal year 2015 budget. I want to start by observing that science and technology as a whole do better in this budget than might be expected, given the stringent caps that apply. Under those caps, we are not able to propose as much for R&D and for STEM education as the challenges and opportunities warrant. But the priority that the President places on these domains is evident in the fact that the 1.2% increase for R&D in his budget over FY14 enacted is 6 times bigger in percentage terms than the 0.2% increase in discretionary spending overall set by Congress in the Bipartisan Budget Act last December. And STEM education in the President's budget is up 3.7% over FY14 enacted. While the base budget in the President's submission for FY15 comports with the caps in the Bipartisan Budget Act, he has also put forward in his submission a vision for stronger investments in America's future in the form of a supplementary $56 billion Opportunity, Growth, and Security Initiative. While requiring additional congressional action, it would be fully paid for by spending reforms and closing tax loopholes, and would come close to restoring FY15 discretionary spending to the level originally planned in the Budget Control Act of 2011. The $56 billion would be divided equally between the defense and non-defense categories, and $5.3 billion of it would support research and development. This would take the $135.4 billion for R&D in the regular budget up to $140.7 billion, which would be a 5.2% increase over fiscal year 14 enacted. And that supplement would include nearly $900 million for NASA. In my written testimony, I described some of the other supplementary R&D investments proposed in the initiative. I just want to mention here a few other points from my written testimony that I think deserve particular emphasis. First of all, within the spending caps, the budget provides for a 1.2% increase in the combined budgets of the National Science Foundation, the Department of Energy's Office of Science, and the National Institute of Standards and Technology Labs to $13.0 billion. These 3 agencies were last authorized in the America Competes Reauthorization Act of 2010. I look forward to working with the Congress on reauthorizing the Competes legislation and its support for these 3 crucially important science agencies. The President's budget for NASA within the spending caps is $17.5 billion. Consistent with the provisions of the NASA Authorization Act agreement between Congress and the Administration, the budget funds continued development of the Space Launch System and the Orion Multipurpose Crew Vehicle to enable human exploration missions to new destinations. It funds the continued operation and enhanced use of the International Space Station, which the Administration recently announced its commitment to extend through at least 2024. It funds the further development of private sector systems to carry cargo and crew into low Earth orbit, thus reestablishing a cost-effective U.S. capability for these missions and shortening the duration of our sole reliance on Russian launch vehicles for access to the station. It funds a balanced portfolio of space and Earth science, including a continued commitment to new satellites and programs for Earth observation. It funds a dynamic space technology development program, and it funds a strong aeronautics research effort. I look forward to continuing to work with Congress and with this committee on reauthorizing NASA. The budget requests $5.6 million for OSTP, my office, the same as FY14 enacted, to support OSTP's diverse missions in overseeing and coordinating science and technology efforts across the executive branch, including efforts the Congress asked us to undertake in the 2 Competes Acts, the NASA Authorization Act, and other legislation. As a final point, I want to emphasize the Administration's ongoing commitment within the President's science and technology budget, not just to R&D, but also to STEM education, to better prepare the next generation of discoverers, inventors, high-skill workers, and science-savvy citizens. As I noted earlier, the budget's $2.9 billion for STEM education programs is a 3.7% increase over FY14 enacted. My written testimony and the STEM education report I delivered to Congress this week update the committee on how the 2015 budget proposal for STEM education differs from last year's. To summarize, the 2015 budget makes important changes that reflect input from the STEM education community and from the committee. This budget continues to reduce fragmentation of STEM education programs across government, but it does not transfer functions and the associated funding between agencies, and it focuses strongly on the 5 key areas identified by the Federal STEM Education 5-year strategic plan released last May. In closing, I look forward to continuing to work with the committee to strengthen the nation's science and technology portfolio and to achieve the economic and other societal benefits it underpins. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions the members may have.
Okay.